cocking up. Everybody cocking up. Young and old, everybody cock up. Without control, we doing the cock up. I see a man about 70 with an old lady. And if you see granny cocking back, singing cock, cock, cock. We cocking up. Everybody cocking up. We cocking up. Everybody cocking up. We cocking up till we thirsty. We cocking up till we wet. I see a big fat monkey like a jumbo jet. Cocking up. Everybody cocking up. We cocking up. Everybody cocking up.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, and we are back with you for another Talk Time segment here on our Activated Mornings program on WEFM. This is a time where we get commentary from Kingsley DeFreitas, who is already on the line. So, Kingsley, good morning to you.
Yeah, morning. I hear you speaking about accident. I am of the impression that most of the accidents that take place in cities that we live in could be avoided. You know what I said so? When I was a boy, and my father gave me to drive, he was big and upgrade outdoor roadside. Now today, you see somebody who is authorized to teach an expert to drive. When you see folks who have noticed the stop sign trying to get into a major road, before she go from cross factor, they just slow down and they proceed to anything is like coming. In my days, that's going to happen. We have to indicate in advance our intention. We have wiped out nothing before it. Everything has to be before it. Today, I just said you have to go in a car and they say, well, they are right, they could do anything they feel right. So I don't share your view. And mostly concerned with that the accidents that happen on the street, they have the accidents and can't be avoided. I don't subscribe to that. I've been driving a taxi since 1983. I never had an accident going to and from home. And all because the way my father taught me to drive, I always remember to drive to the next four, so the one in front of me and the one immediately behind me. I agree with you that there are some irresponsible drivers. And if you continue the way you go, you may get an accident. But you as a driver, Mr. Mel, you have to expect that from before. And I always remind yourself, you have to have defensive driving in your armory so you could prevent certain things. So I don't buy the theory where people think that 95% of the accidents are accidents. Because I can remember Mr. Mel, I was going to North New York. Now when I'm going down the hill and I apply brake, my pedal brake right down. Not because the brake system motor goes, but because the amount of heat which will generate something we use in the market to say that the brake liquid loss is what stopping heat. I did the same thing to the people there, but I applied my handbrake gradually. And I drove the battery and reached where I was going. And when I got there, the vehicle cooled down and I went back up. Because the unit brake coming from North Road and it was going through. And the van came up properly with no problem brake. Took it to the mechanic next day. All we did was change the brake liquid and put it on factory. So I am hoping that people who will listen, and most people see what this drive. It should not be absorbed inside. When a something, there's a time not stop. And you want to come out, the best thing to do is to stop it didn't sit too long because if we take in these students to get their license, and the bigger guy named Mr. Pope, but he don't know nonsense guy. They didn't reach by a style and say stop right so long. He said it's not of you pay, you know. And a lot of people wonder why you get failed. I want to be able to understand the issue of what is crossed in your hand. Some people ask, what's the next position to have your hands at the same? Across the tree. It's put people in a better position to maneuver the vehicle with all your ability. But when you people want how left, right hand control, see the left hand and take on the very they must get it. You have to be in total control of your vehicle. You got to tell something with others. You put these drivers forward to you, whether it's in back, whether it's in the right. They have to do what they have to do. They must comply with the road side. And I will tell you something. Because when the airport was just open, they invite us to come to the airport to get us familiarized with the road side. I did not comply with them guys saying, so why I have to report? You don't need to be more trying to be hard at the airport. I found myself in a compromising position. Because I did not go to get myself familiarized with the sites at the airport. So I just go about here and all the time push your streets at the side of the road to take you to the car park. And people from the side that you have to be responsible when you're driving. Have a wonderful weekend.
All right, no problem, Kingsley. Have a good one today. Thanks. All righty, so that was today's commentary with Kingsley DeFreitas. All right, just give me a moment. All right, so we have a caller. Good morning to you, Joshua. Oh, Joshua gone. All right, so so that was Kingsley's commentary for today. And he's saying that most vehicular accidents in SVG are not accidents in the true sense of the word, in that persons are just not driving properly. All right. They're not observing the correct road signs. They're not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing on the roads. All right. So we have a caller. Hi, caller. Good morning. I am fine. What about you?
They should carry an additional LD of a different color for at least a year to show all the driver they are still loaded. And the color of the airplane should be maybe a white or blue something to show that you just passed the test. But some of these youngsters just get the car that they show off that you just passed the test. I was driving since 1965 to England, and I have never had a road accident in my life. I hope to keep it that way. So anyway, please put that extra airplane on for you. If you have an accident within the year, we should take another test. But you have a nice day.
All right, thank you. That's an interesting one. All right, thank you, Mr. Gibson. Nicole, any thoughts with regards to that?
Well, it's
okay.
quite...
We have another call, so that we will get into it in a bit. All right, Joshua, good morning.
Good morning, Roleza and Nicola. Roleza.
Joshua.
Would you believe I actually agree with 99.9% of the things Kingsley said this morning?
So he lose the 0.1 mark for?
Pardon?
Why did he lose the other mark?
I'd rather not say.
Joshua.
I've said from time to time, I would love to get my hands on a Vincentian dictionary. Because as he rightly said, he didn't put it in these words, but he expressed my sentiments. The word accident is always misused, just like would have. I would like to find out the Vincentian definition of an accident. And Nicola, I really love your sentiment this morning. We must be related because in Bermuda, I'm the slowest driver on the road, one of the most cautious drivers. I remember a Jamaican judge said to me once, when I was stupid, he said, so what you have to say? I said, Your Honor, I was just following the car in front of me, which means I was speeding. He said, listen, man, let me tell you something. You're the only sensible driver on the road. Everybody else is an idiot. So you have to drive for you and them. So, Nicola, you are absolutely right. Drive cautiously. And people, on the roads, please be careful. And I firmly believe that anybody at all who's involved in a collision like the one on Gibson Corner, that person should be charged for criminal negligence. And because you mentioned it, my English teacher always said, do not start a sentence with because. But because you mentioned it this morning, Roleza, in the Eyewitness News, mention it made up Mr. Dwight Bing Joseph expressing that St. Vincent has gone to the dogs.
Oh, that was so loud. You know that wasn't what it said. That and what you're making reference to is Searchlight headlines for this week.
Yes, that is true. But those are my words to put in it. And I also heard Mr. Joseph. Now, like I said, because it's mentioned, Mr. Joseph does not have the moral fortitude to speak about misbehavior. He projects himself as the real bad man on his show. He disrespects women in every way, shape, and form. So therefore, Mr. Joseph, you have no right at all to express sentiments in that area. St. Vincent has a lot of positive people, thousands of positive people. I have encountered many of them. Just a very small minority, a double negative, a small minority of delinquents on the road. We do have a lot of positive things going on in St. Vincent. And anytime anybody come on dissing young people in St. Vincent for being disruptive, I could come up with 1,000 reasons why they're positive ones. Have a great day. And Kingsley, again, like I said, I applaud 99.9% of the things you said this morning. Anita, me hit you up later.
Bye, Joshua. All right, Nicole, you can go ahead.
So, the truth is really there are no accidents on the road. Most times it's really about people being hasty. Sometimes it's that extra sense of showing I could drive.
Mm-hmm.
And in truth, it's collisions, and it's avoidable collisions most times. Overtaking, especially, not necessary to be done. But how could you decide you want to overtake 3 vehicles on a corner, on a blind corner at that? So we really have to exercise that sense that if it were an accident, it would have happened differently. Mm. It's human effort being put into careless and reckless behavior.
Okay. There's something that Kingsley was talking about, that it reminded me that, so while it is we do the road test, we learn to drive on the roads. So we just learned how to move the vehicle from one place to another, right? In instances about the hand signals, etc. But what it is that I realized, at least it did not happen when I was learning to drive, is what to do in a situation where something happens with the vehicle. So Kingsley was making mention of the brakes getting hot, right? I actually had a situation once where my brakes completely fell in, and we are not taught these things. And I always remember that situation. Nicole, my legs were shaking all till the next day because it happened on a Friday. So all up to the Monday when I had to drive again, my legs were still shaking. And it wasn't until I called my mechanic and he told me, well, just put it in L and come to him, right? Drive the vehicle down to him. But the thing of it is that nobody told me any of this. So a lot of it is that we are going to be learning through trial and error. Unfortunately, some of this trial and error is going to lead to death, right? Because we're not taught these things. And I'm not sure who it is supposed to, give us a little bit of guidance on every little thing. To me, I am thinking that it's a driver instructor who's supposed to do it. There are times when, you come across these videos, let's say on YouTube, that might, that just happen to show up and give you tips, but we're not taught it. At least I was not taught it. And I think that these are little things that we should be able to know, right? In a situation of you're driving behind a vehicle and it suddenly stops, you don't go head first into them. You can angle the vehicle in a particular way so that you just hit it on the side rather than a full front on collision. So it's these little things. And I only learned that from observing somebody else do it. So it's these little things that I think that, I don't know who's supposed to do the pass on this type of messaging, but yeah.
So two things, right? So of course, driving is absolute strategy. So I always say when somebody stops suddenly in front of me, I should be so aware that that person was going to stop or anticipate that they were going to stop, that I would be in a position to be far away enough to slow down and also stop. So it's a lot of give and take on the road. But what happens is, again, as I said, we're so hasty. That's one. But then secondly, what you're saying, there's no school that teaches us some of these things that might happen. I don't know if it's happening frequently in St. Vincent, but for the last 2 years or so, especially some of the hybrid vehicles, they're just catching a fire. They're just catching a fire on the highways, all over the place. You're just seeing cars on fire. And in fact, I witnessed one earlier this year on the street around the corner from me. So, and it really is not about carelessness or anything. What do you do in an instance like that? So again, these are where opportunities arise. Insurance companies, they can take the lead. They can create campaigns around sensitization, education, because you have to go back to them to claim. And sometimes they might deny your claim. So they need to also be in that space of understanding, here's a great opportunity to say to my client or my potential client, we care so much that we're going to take the lead. So a lot of this is, inside of every single challenge or pain point or issue, there is an opportunity. And I feel it's time that we again understand that sensitization doesn't necessarily have to come from a government or an agency. It could actually be us starting to lobby. And maybe just, as I said, go to the printry and ask them to put these things in the back on the insides of exercise of copybooks. And because students will read, they will have to use their copybooks. We're still using copybooks. Yes, we're using computers, but let's start at the very, very basic. And sometimes it might look as if the information is too high a level. Illustrations, that's where we have so much artificial intelligence capacity to just go into Google or somewhere and say, draw me this or create this. And we can use all of these tools. And sometimes I have to say AI and these things are not bad for us. They could be good for us if used well and constructively. So if you can't find the human capital to do it, let's create it so that we also understand that we are responsible and in charge of changing behaviors.
There's also another thing that and because you were recently here, I wanted to raise it with you. One of the challenges that I also tend to find is that we don't have enough signs, right? The signs that are on the road themselves, a lot of them need to be repainted. We don't have a lot of the physical signs as in to say to turn here, don't turn here, and that sort of thing, right? I always wonder how it is a non-Vincentian drives here in SVG, because for me, even though I was raised here, I live here majority of my life, when I started driving, I would go into panic attacks in terms of there are certain roads, because I've been a passenger for the entire time, I'm not paying attention. Nobody pays attention when they're a passenger, right? But, to go from one place to another and so forth, or how to maneuver from one lane to another, because we here as Vincentians, we are familiar with it. I often wonder how a non-national drives around here in SVG. Like, how was the experience for you?
So, the thing is, I love driving. That's the first thing. And when I travel, I generally jump behind the wheel wherever I go. When I'm in South Africa, I drive in South Africa. Sometimes I drive from Johannesburg to Pretoria, almost daily commuting. But in St. Vincent and in other Caribbean islands, when I go, or other islands where you might think, okay, there's some level of development that's still yet to take place, I have been able to navigate. So, I mean, I looked for signs, and yes, I didn't see many of the signs I needed to see. What I was also discovering was that some of the names of streets were not necessarily there. So I that was a little challenge for me. But again, by day three, I was good at it. I was okay. And then I realized, okay, it's one straight road. It's one straight road from where I'm staying to where I'm going.
Mhm.
So one day actually, I'd used GPS, and the GPS sent me quite in the back of somewhere up. Listen to me. And I thought I was lost, right? But then I'm always like, when I'm driving and I am in a strange place or place for the first time, I always say, look towards where there's plenty light and you're coming back to a city or coming back to somewhere.
Populated.
And I'm good with directions, so by the time I did a little maneuver, and I just cut off the GPS because I didn't want to hear what was being told. So I drove, and then I found my way right back where I needed to be. It was a bypass road that was taking me somewhere into like various villages, a lot of one-way streets, a lot of very curvy roads. But yes, to answer, I did have seeing limited signage. I saw it, I witnessed that. And then like some of these signs, names of streets, I didn't see. And then some I saw, which I kind of like, were actually embedded into the walls.
Okay.
So that was also at some point when I noticed that was maybe how it was. I was like, okay, maybe it's not a signpost. Maybe it's just a name of a street embedded into the wall. And then, yes, I saw some, what I would call, when I went to Beckway, I saw some older looking street signs, and it looked quaint, it looked cute, but I'm like, not everybody gonna see this.
And that's it. Most of us don't see them, or maybe because we've been here for so long, we don't pay attention, but we really don't see them. Ask Vincent Chance how much streets in Kingstown. Even me, after having done the driving test, ask me how many streets I can recognize. It's Bay Street, Back Street, and Middle Street. I'm good with those,
But
right?
what else you need? What else you need? Those are the streets I needed.
Here what happened? Whenever it is that you have, let's say, okay, so if somebody says an accident or an incident has occurred on a particular street, let's call Higginson Street. Ask me where Higginson Street is. Ask Vinci where Higginson Street is, right? You have to then hear, oh, such and such a building is on Higginson Street for us to be able to know what street it is, So that is one of the other things as well. So, all right.
Well, actually, funny enough, though, I drive by landmarks. I love a landmark. You tell me this or that, or the color of the building, or two buildings next to, and I am perfect. But I found my way around.
All right. Well, very good. Very good.
I can't wait to come back.
And we'd be happy to have you back right here next to me in this seat. All right. And with that, we are heading on out of this segment. Just a little over time. Time here in SVG, it is 8:07. And our time check came to you with the compliments of New Haven Funeral Home.
Death is a fact of life. Even though death is a fact